Devapriya made a will, and in his will he left instructions for his funeral. I quote, "You can do what you like, but make sure you have fun doing it." That's what he said.
He was 77.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Dhammaya.
Namo Dhammaya.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Namah.
Namo Namah.
Why I think Tara was very significant for Devapriya is because he was trying to create a very strong sense of this between Tara, an Eastern aspect, Buddhism, and the Western goddess. He really was working very hard in making a synthesis between these two images, one from the East and one from the West, and therefore for him the Celtic goddess and Tara were intertwined, a bit like a Celtic weave. You can imagine a weave or an eternal knot. You can imagine both these images for Devapriya were the same. And so he would spend quite a bit of time wherever he could, particularly down the Chalice Well in Glastonbury, where some of his ashes are going to go actually, or on the tour, where I introduced him to that place around about 1970, I think. But Tara for him is also connected with the colour green, and hence is the colour green and the Celtic imagery, which is also green, created an amazing mixture for him, which was really worked for him.
Om Tare
Sidi Pala
Of him. But that could be a real kind of fast, thing. But the way I was thinking to do it was we'd actually kind of turn to our neighbours. A couple of neighbours, little groups of 4 or 5, and just tell your little group of 4 or 5 people your story, whatever it is.
And one of the things I noticed is that Devapriya was very engaging for younger people, and he always had younger people around him. And I think this is quite short and sweet now. When my 2 sons went round to see Devapriya, he was this old man sort of on a frame and moving with great difficulty until he got to the banisters, when he slapped one hand on both banisters and slid right down the stairs. And my kids, wow!
You were a creature of your own creation, and I always thought there was a magnificence to that. You made me laugh. You had an original mind. You gave many people refuge. I love you and I miss you.
What was he trying to teach? What was he trying to teach the children? What were the Buddhist retreats all about, the children-friendly retreats? Yeah? And in a word, what he replied was simple. It was teaching children, and therefore ourselves, how to hold strong feelings. Yeah? That's what he was about. He knew there was a lot of strong feelings out there. He knew that more than most there was a lot of pain and grief and suffering, and we had to hold it.
Along with the child-friendly and how that's grown, the inspiration that's grown inside myself, and Sasha from now, I hope I can speak for you, Sash, has taken that Sangha actually into her school life. We've been in a couple of times into her class to do Tara Puja with her class who was studying Buddhism, and Sasha, dressed as Tara, sat there.
At times, Devapriya gave me the most useful advice.
Towards the end of my last meeting with him, he made an observation which permanently changed my sense of things of the highest importance to me. Devapriya was a man of the keenest intelligence, but perhaps his finest and most defining virtue was his kindness. Everybody signed on in those days. I didn't have a job. I'd spent the afternoon on Hampstead Heath, which was nearby, silently reciting the Green Tara mantra, all afternoon. As I was walking back down Balmore Street, past all the houses where people lived, the house where he was living had its front door open, and he happened to be standing in the doorway. I walked past, looked up at him, didn't say a word, and nodded. And he went, "You're all green."
His illness actually made him available in a strange kind of way. He was always there. And no subjects taboo. You could go and have a really good moan, which I often did. You'd have a really good laugh. You might even get a little bit tipsy or something like that. Let your hair down, and nothing was off limits. And not only that, he had a sort of mysterious idea of the Dharma, quite a mysterious vision of the Dharma to me. He's like a sort of, he was like Padmasambhava, he had a sort of breadth of vision. I think he went to a lot of other teachers as well, which is probably, I shouldn't say, but he was not a narrow man, and I think the fact that we have all here gathered kind of indicates what breadth of vision he had, and I'm going to miss him a lot because I really loved him.
Hi, okay, my name's Sumitra. I was actually ordained with Devapriya, which was in 1981. I'm slightly nervous about being here because I do feel quite choked. Because Devapriya was a very good friend to me. And we went through some very tough times together. The stories that Devapriya spoke of with Phoenix. This wasn't an easy time. And he wasn't treated well. Devapriya was not treated well. The story that Devapriya spoke of the burning of the effigy is true. I was there. And it was a cruel thing. And it hurt him a lot. But the thing that impresses me, particularly about Devapriya, is it didn't stop him. Yeah. He was a very determined man, and he was determined in his practice of the Dharma. Yeah, he practiced Buddhism. He exemplified Buddhism. And he was an exceptionally fine and faithful friend. Yeah. And he was a very good friend to me. And I don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for him. So I owe him a lot. He was a very fine man. And I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, I put my arm around Dharmabandhu because I'm quite nervous. And nice to see people. The man, Devapriya, hello. I did this thing called Mitra Study with him 20 years ago. We were never close friends, but did that study at the Hermitage. I'm so glad to see Peter today because I haven't seen you since then, more or less. And in a lot of ways, I didn't like Devapriya. I didn't like him. I kind of reacted to something, and hello, camera. In other words, I was quite a conformist sort of person, going through the Buddhist stuff 20 years ago, and I think Devapriya, it was a bit different. Somebody mentioned magic. He, the way he talked and said things, I couldn't handle it too well at the time, but I would say of myself that
perhaps not such a conformist sort of person. And I learned that, I think, from Devapriya. It kind of sowed seeds in my heart, to use that phrase. So thank you, Devapriya. I've got a very, very quick, short story as well. Part of the reason I'm here is a good friend of Devapriya. It's a friend of mine called Mahachita, and he's in intensive care at the moment, and it's really touch and go. But Mahachita, Devapriya, Mahachita has mentioned Devapriya so much. Mahachita is so fond of Devapriya, his KM. So I was about to use an F word. So fucking glad to see you, mate. Sorry. Excuse me. Thank you. Sorry.
It just takes one person to commit to something, and people will rally around that. So he understood that. So that's what I did. I committed to a year. So the LBC's at a Sunday school now for 3.5 years. We just had our second Sunday school retreat. We're getting ethnic Buddhists coming in now from Korea, from Sri Lanka, because we're the only Buddhist Sunday school in the southeast in English. So that was him, and I always say you're the daddy of the Sunday school.
Devapriya insisted, this was part of the City of London Polytechnic, now a university status. There were 16 canteens in the various different areas, and none of them served vegetarian food. So when we got there, we had to serve meat. And one day, Devapriya said, we were both managers, said, look, we're going to go vegetarian. I said, we can't go vegetarian. We're going to go vegetarian. We're going to go vegetarian and see what happens. And it was absolutely amazing. So what I'm actually saying is Devapriya has a lion's heart. He had a lion heart. I was going to say he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He had a lion heart because what that meant is, and this is what actually happened, our jobs were on the line. The press got hold of it. How dare these people serve vegetarian food in our establishments? And they wanted to close us down. But Devapriya was canny. He got in touch with the local press. And they did some research and they realised nobody was serving meat. And this was the new fare. This was the new way to go, vegetarian food. Of course, he was coming from the basis of Buddhism, being non-meat eating, yeah? And he already was a converted Buddhist. So what happened is we got the press on our side, including the national press, and they came in, and then suddenly all these people said, I'm a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian. It's like Spartacus, And suddenly we're inundated with all these people wanting vegetarian food. We couldn't get enough of it. We were opening it up, Sagamati was there, Ratnajoti was there, working away, and everybody was working there apart from Lokamitra. This was in the Pundarika days, the early days of the movement. That's it really. I just want to say to Lokabandhu's, Devapriya was a wonderful lionheart. And just a lovely image one day when Sagamati did an amazing curry in bad conditions. And this cockroach fell from the ceiling. And then this Indian student came up, excuse me, sir, I think you have a cockroach in it. It's a very unusual one. I haven't seen this one since I've been in Bombay. Anyway, Devapriya, a lionheart.
Beautiful canal, and I sat down on this bench by the canal. I just became very still, and then I thought, if I stood by the river's edge with my hand out for long enough, a kingfisher would come and land on my hand. And then I just had this strong sense of Devapriya. I thought, I imagine Devapriya like hunched over like that, like an oak tree over the edge of the water. And I was imagining how a kingfisher would land on his hand. I looked up on the other side of the canal, on the willow tree, there was a kingfisher looking down, waiting like me, looking down into the water. And then he just went pew, pew, down into this really black water. And it's just these ripples, and then this flash of turquoise and orange, and Anyway, they say as much to me about Devapriya as anything else.
So I've dressed up to represent the incredibly playful spirit that he had and encouraged in all of us. And I used to call it the inner child friendly retreat. So if you've never been before, come if you can get in. It's very, very popular and we love him. Bea wanted me to share a story of when she first met him. She was 5. We were visiting from Australia and wondering what this was all about, and she walked straight up to the front of the stage and just kind of sat adoringly at his feet and said, "He's my new boyfriend." Completely fell in love, like many of us, and it's the reason why we moved from Australia, in part, was because of the wonderful Sangha that we found. So we love you, Devapriya. May you dance off into the sunset.
We saw that I had the same passion for a connected, spiritual place where we could be a village and practice together. And he invited me to join him in co-leading the retreat with him, which I did over 6 years. And it was the most beautiful gift. It was the most important gift anyone's ever given to me, just because when I'm there, when I'm at the village retreat, it's where everything comes together, where everything is all right. And I said at the end of the last one, I said, "This isn't a retreat, this is a pilgrimage." And that's what it feels like. It's a place where you go once a year to just have all of you reflected back and held. And so that was the gift that he gave to me, to be able to actually be in a space where life and practice and love and magic could all come together. So thank you, Devapriya.
I had an impression that he was someone who in many ways didn't feel appreciated. And I think he probably was appreciated in some ways, but I think that was my impression, he didn't feel appreciated in some really essential way. And had a really lovely talk with him a couple of weeks before he died, and phoned, and I think he was just phoning to say goodbye. And I just said how amazing I think the Families Retreat, what an incredible achievement it is, which I've said before, and and that's after many years of sort of struggling with it and not always feeling so positive about it. And I just had the impression, actually, he does feel appreciated. There was no resistance. He was receiving that appreciation, and I have a sense that he has ended his life feeling loved, and I'm really happy.
And I'd like to rejoice in his openness to feedback. He said to me one time, "Jyoti, tell me if I'm not, tell me where you've got problems." And I had some really good conversations with him where I gave him some quite strong feedback with things that I had difficulty with, and he was very open to what I said, and I really appreciated that. It's a precious quality to have that humility to be open to feedback.
I've never known such a good listener. Literally, we could speak or not speak for half an hour and just sit and meditate. I just felt such a profound calmness and a youthful spirit, full of love, full of kindness, and I will seriously miss him. And it's lovely to see everyone here. We can all be together and celebrate his lovely life. What a lovely man.
The dead are not under the earth, so listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Those who have died have never ever left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's birth, they are in the waiting child. They are with us in the home, they are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water.